All right, please go to 35 now. Now 35 is all going to be, not 35, 36 is all going to be an algebra review. And maybe third, fourth grade, but whatever. We'll just say it's algebra review. All right. I have 2 columns and I have 2 rows. I have 4 boxes in total. On page 36, I'll zoom in just a minute, just draw that. We're going to talk about parallel slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines, but we'll make sure to review so that no one is unsure or makes a lot of mistakes. Okay, so we're going to do word number 32. And number 2 is a whole number written as a fraction. So remember that slope is a rate, and we write that as a fraction. And so the first one is if we have a whole number, like for example, if you have a whole number of 5, we want to write 5 as a fraction. So to make, okay, I already said that slope is a rate. That means we write it as a fraction. That was on your quiz 9. Okay, does anyone know how we make this 5 into a fraction without changing? Because it still has to equal 5. Yeah, divide it by what? If I divide 5 by 2, it's going to be 2.5. And I divide by 5, 5 divided by 5 would be 1. We're not subtracting, we're dividing. So I would divide 5 by what to make it still equal 5? 5 divided by 10 would be like point. Yes, 1. 5 divided by 25 is just going to give you a smaller. It needs to equal 5. No, we're doing 5 divided by 25. You divide it by 1. Lizzie, you're right. We divide it by 1 because 5 divided by 1 is going to give you 5. That doesn't change anything. 5 go into one group. Derek, that would still mean you have 5 pieces. But if you're trying to do what Kamaya is doing, 5 into 25 groups, you'd have to take away this 5 and make it smaller. The only way to still get 5 is you put 5 in one group. Okay. That's like if you had 5 candy and you want one person's supposed to get 5 candy, you can only give it to one person. You can't share that with 2 people because then you have to split it. You can't split it with 10 people because you have to split the candy. If you're going to get one person's going to get all 5, then only one person gets it. So that you divide it by 1. So if that didn't make any sense to you, that's fine. Just remember, it's always over 1. Okay, that's okay. If it didn't make any sense to you, just remember it's always over 1. So for example, if you have 10, you would write 10 over 1. You have 20, 30, -8, whatever you have, -3, it'd be -3 over 1. It's always over 1 to make a whole number into a fraction. Okay, remember we're recording the second time I ask you, Amy. We're trying to remind you. All right, so this is a review. Hopefully you remember this because everything that we do today, when you do your practice, it needs to be written as a fraction. And so they all need to be written like this if they're whole numbers. So it'll count it wrong if you write it as a whole number. I'm asking you to write it as a fraction. So that's why we're going over this. We'll do a couple examples in just a minute. All right, so that was a little bit of blast from the past from like 4th grade, but that's okay. We'll go to number 33. Hopefully this one's more recent. Slope from an equation. So you have this. You've got two numbers there. Slope is a number, slope is a rate. So does anyone know, can anyone show me with their fingers, what is the slope for this one right here? Dude, I haven't been recording. Yeah, hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me do the whole thing. No, I am recording. Dang it. Why doesn't it have a little red dot? Weird. Okay. Can anyone show me with their fingers? I see one person who gets it. Slope with their, which one is it? 3 or the 1? Anybody know? Okay, it's the one with the X. It's the coefficient of X. I always put a squiggly with the X. So the coefficient here is the 3. Slope is a number, so your slope would be 3. Okay, and remember we write slope as a fraction. So I'm gonna write 3 over 1. Slope is the coefficient of X. That means the number in front of X. That means the number with the X. That doesn't mean X included 2. It's just the number. It's the number with the X. Okay, maybe we might have to move back there. I don't know what else to do because I've already asked you a couple times. All right, what we're going to do is do some practice examples right here to the side. I'm going to assign you a number. You're not going to do both of them. You're going to do the one that I assign you. All right. Okay, so here's the X. Here's another X. All right, it's the number with the X. So if you put 4X as your answer, it would be wrong because slope does not have X with it. It's a number, it's a rate, it's rise over run. So here it's 4, but we're writing as a whole, as a fraction. So it'd be over what? 2. Here's the one with the X, 2 over 1. The one with the X here, here's my X, here's my X. M is 6 over 1, 7 over 1. All right, please go to page 37. So all of that was review. This one, you may remember it from last year. Again, we're doing 4 boxes. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 37. 37, right? Yeah. All right. Word 34 is parallel. But we've already done parallel. So technically, really the word for this one would be, hello, can you give me a minute because I am recording. Slopes of parallel lines. Does anyone remember for extra credit what the slopes are? If the lines are parallel from last year? Woohoo! Good job, Martavis. Yeah, they're the same. Slopes are the same. Slopes are equal. If the lines are parallel, the slopes are equal. That means that the lines will never cross. Tayshawn, if the slopes are equal, that means that they're going at the same rate, same rise over run. So there's no way they'll ever run into each other because they're like, if you're going as fast as somebody else, you're never going to be able to catch up to them unless you go faster than them, right? Otherwise, you're going to go the same, same speed. All right, so let me do an example with you, and then you will get to do one for extra credit. So here's an example. Let's say this is line A, and let's say you've got 3 over 4x plus 7. And then here you've got, I don't know, 9 plus 3 over 4x. So slope is the one with the X. So right here and right here, both of them, the number in front of the X for both of them is 3/4. So that would mean that these lines would be parallel. So for now, as an extra credit, if you can write your own example, you'll get extra credit when I walk around. As long as your slopes are the same, then the lines would be parallel. So I'll walk around. Remember, the extra credit is just extra credit. You're not getting help from me or Miss Owens right now. This is just extra credit. Can you do it by yourself? That's what you're getting the extra credit for. And it shouldn't be this. Okay, now perpendicular. Perpendicular is different. Slopes of perpendicular. Yes.
There was a reminder about a faculty meeting tomorrow morning at 7:30.
Okay,
I don't get reminders on my phone.
Got
so I
it.
just wanted to make sure.
thank you. Yeah. All right, perpendicular. I'm gonna write it here underneath it also, just in case you can't read it. Thank you, Mrs. Owens. You too. All right, perpendicular. I wrote it here. You don't have to write it large. That's just in case you can't read it. I wrote it down here. All right, extra credit for perpendicular. Anyone know the slopes for this one? Yes. No. Anybody? Okay, slopes. Hello, Devontae. Are negative. We're on page 37. Slopes are negative reciprocal. And if you don't have any paper, you can get paper from that table over there. They're negative reciprocal. So negative means that they're not literally always negative. Negative means, Alexia's group, it means that you change the sign. So when it says negative, that doesn't literally mean it's always negative, or it can be positive. One's gonna be positive, one's gonna be negative. If it's positive, you change it to negative. If it's negative, you change it to positive. Reciprocal means that you flip it. Okay, so the numerator goes to the denominator, denominator goes to the numerator. So the way that I'll remind you about this is change flip. Change flip. Not keep change flip, change flip. So let's do an example. We'll make this one negative. Give me a number, Israel.
Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
can you give me a number
Oh,
for an example?
3 and 4.
Okay, that was very specific. All right, so what we do, I'll make this one pink so maybe I can tell apart. What we do is we flip it. So that means the 4 goes on top. And then Devontae, it'd be over what? Devontae Murray? It'd be over what? I flip it. So the 4 goes on top, it'd be over 3, exactly. Okay, this one was negative, so this one would be positive. And that would be it. Yeah, the whole thing is negative because it's a fraction. This is a number. 3/4 is a number. It's not, they have 2 digits, but it's one number. 3/4 is a number. That was positive. So yeah, this was negative. This is positive. It doesn't make the 4 positive. The whole thing is positive. Because that's a number. 3 and 4 are not like different numbers here. They're different digits. All right. So let's do another example. And then y'all will do one for your on your own for extra credit. All right, let me write it out. So let's say that it looks like this. Okay, so my slope is the one with X, squiggly the X. What's in front of it is this -2. Remember that I make my slope, it has to be written as a fraction. So I'm gonna write it as -2 over, it's a whole number, so I write it over what, Derek? Over, if it's a whole number and I write it as a fraction, it's gonna be over, perfect. All right, so then I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna flip the digits. So then the 1 goes to the top, and then the 2 goes to the bottom. So now my slope is 1/2. Now that's my perpendicular slope. I can write out the entire word perpendicular, or I can use the symbol, it's an upside down T, and in geometry, that symbol means perpendicular. The upside down T means perpendicular. So my perpendicular equation would have a slope of 1/2. Okay. I start with -1/2 and my answer is +1/2. All right, so now you're going to do your own example for extra credit right here. I'll walk around, give you a check if you can come up with your own example for these slopes. So come up with your own number, take the same number, flip it, and change the sign. Your own number, yes.